everyone, we're back. All right, let me see. We got almost everybody here. Cameras on, please. You guys can hear me, right? You can see me. Everything's good. Great. All right, so we are now on YouTube Live. If anybody's watching on YouTube and you have any questions, drop them in the chat and I will address it. We're going to start off as usual with a bunch of questions from Nina. Let's see what we got. All right. Actually, we have a question from Elda first, and oh, Linda's here. Linda Valera is watching. What's up, Linda? All right, cool. So, a broker must have completed how many hours beyond the original salesperson course? So, as it says, it's beyond the original salesperson course. If the question was, how many hours do you need to become a broker? The answer would be different. But because this is a question, you already did the salesperson course, as it says here. How many hours do you need in New Jersey? You need an additional 150 hours to become a broker. If the question did not address, the fact that you already took a salesperson course, then the answer would have been 225, which is the 75 hours you're doing now plus the 150. So it all depends on, again, what is being asked. This question, it says beyond salesperson course, so 150. All right. Let's see, next question. What is the timeline for mortgage approval process, application review to when the buyer hears back? So every agency, every agency works differently. Just like as a salesperson, you'll work different than your colleague at the same agency, and the same different than from different real estate agencies. So, what is the timeline for mortgage approval? Let's say you submit all the application required docs, right? You can have an approval in as quick as 24 hours, depending on the type of processing department they have and underwriting department. Or you can have, we're talking about approval, not just a preliminary loan officer looked at you and looked at your paperwork and looks like you fit the guidelines, so we'll pre-approve it. No, I'm talking about the actual let's move forward application. So it could take anywhere from 24 hours to a week to 2 weeks. It all depends on the companies that you're working with, the type of loan you're involved, what is your current financial status. So there's a lot of variations there, and that's for the application to be to have some type of commitment, right? After that, there's appraisals, there's inspections of the property, there's title issues, and we will not get a clear to close until all that stuff is taken out. But as far as evaluating you and with an estimate of the property value, it could take anywhere between 24 to, I don't know, 24 hours or 1 day till probably like 10 business days at like worst case scenario, right? That's worst case scenario. What should be done, like I said, this is considering that you gave all the paperwork. What should be done is within 3 business days, you got to get that loan estimate. So within those 3 business days, they should have reviewed everything and gave you an idea of what you should be paying. If you intend to move forward, that completes your application now. Now it's going to start, it's where it goes to the next step. So again, it could take 24 hours. It could take a week. It all depends on what is requested or what is required based on the type of loan, the type of financial situation you have. Once everything is according to what is requested for that type of loan, that's what it's called, a completed loan application, then it has to be within 3 business days, a loan estimate of yes, we might, or no, we might not. Okay. Sorry. All right. So, is an affidavit like a covenant of warranty? If you think about covenant of warranty, like the title issues, like the covenant of warranty for a deed, right? No. It's similar on the part that's a promise, so covenant, right? It's similar in the part that's kind of like a guarantee. Yes, similar. But the covenant of warranty is for the deeds that says I'm transferring to you, and if there's any issues, come back to me regarding the deed, right? So it's me fully giving you that promise that I will take care of it. Now, an affidavit is a sworn statement that says, this is to the best of my knowledge, this is what it is, period, right? So an affidavit could be for anything, right? Now, if you're talking about affidavit of title, now it becomes way closer to a covenant of warranty, okay? So there's a covenant of warranty on a warranty deed, and then there's affidavit of title when you're before you transfer the property. Affidavit of title is required by a title insurance company. It's not for all type of title evidences or title searches, okay? So again, covenant of warranty is when I'm selling to you with a warranty deed. So it's a deed where I put a bunch of promises, a bunch of guarantees. If anything happens, come back to me. So it's almost like I'm issuing my own title guarantee, right, as an individual. That's deed. And then there's actual title, right? Again, title insurance company says, hey, Bruno, you're the seller, Nina's the buyer. Before we conclude this, you have to sign this document that says that all your statements are true. We will insure Nina and the title, but if anything goes wrong, we need to be able to sue you, right? So even though they're very similar in their purpose, they're two separate things. One is deed, and one is specific for title insurance. The outcome, yes, will be pretty much the same. It's some type of warranty or guarantee that the seller is giving, in this case to the title insurance, and in the other case, which is the covenant of warranty, is given to the buyer directly. Okay, that's pretty much the biggest difference. But remember the words. Affidavit is just a sworn statement. Is me telling you and putting on paper and swearing that these statements are true. So help me God. Let's put it like that. Okay. All right, next. Who usually does the monthly or daily calculations for LE or CD? And which method, 360 or 365, is typically used? Well, we don't do this. It could be the escrow agent, which could be the attorney, or it could be a title company. Usually those are the ones that handle all these calculations. Mainly nowadays is a title company. Almost everybody now closes in escrow, meaning they give it to a third party and let them handle it. So they do all the calculations. The method that's used depends on what it is, right? So like I said, if it's something that's related to financing, most of the times they use a 360 because that's the accounting method. It's 12 months, 30 days, even, easy, right? So that's for instance, for mortgages, for taxes, and all that. If it's the rental, like we calculated yesterday, if it's rentals, usually it's based on the month, the amount of days you have in the month. So they'll use the 365 method, which is the actual number of days. And some other things go with the 365, okay? So again, it varies, right? For a state exam, they will ask you using the 360 method or using the 365 method. How do you get to this? How do you get to that, right? But again, who prepares it? Not us. But we need to clearly understand the LE and CD, as I showed you, to explain to the clients. Okay. Next, if the sales agent's commission is wrong or something is wrong on the document, who do you contact to make the corrections? Well, if something is wrong, you got to figure out who prepared the LE or the CD, or talk to the attorneys. So because we control and we command or orchestrate the whole transaction, most likely we have direct access to the title company or the escrow agent preparing all this stuff. And we can let them know, hey, listen, there's something wrong. Look at the contract. This is the commission. And that's what we should go by. So you can contact them directly. Now, it depends on who made the issue. So you got to review who made the mistake. So you got to review all the paperwork so you can address it to the right party. But in this case, usually title company, call them up and say, hey, listen, it's actually missing like $5 or whatever the difference is. Okay? What do I think? So I talked about it. I talked about the Grant Cardone's advice of renting or leasing your home instead of buying a house. And mainly for the fact that a house does not give you many benefits tax-wise, right? So investments, if you guys remember, a house does not give you many benefits. If it's an investment property, right? So if you allocate your money, instead of to purchasing a home, if you allocate that money towards more investments, right? Because to purchase a home, you need to put a down payment, right? And if you use that to purchase your first home, you're limiting your money for potential investment because you need a higher down payment somewhere else. So using the correct strategy, you can get to a financing of your own home if you want, right? I think the bottom line goes to what are your intentions with real estate, what your intentions as an investment. For instance, should you buy a car or should you lease a car? Same thing. It's something you have to question. Lease usually is cheaper than financing, but in the lease, the car is never yours. Financing becomes yours, right? And then there's the tax advantages and disadvantages for a lease or for a purchase, even of a car. So again, sitting down with somebody that does financing, right? Somebody that and the CPA, and understanding the pros and cons of each is a better question than what do I think about Grant Cardone's rent lease scenario. In my situation, right, my financial situation, I want to maximize the investments. So yeah, buying a home is not my priority. Buying an investment property is my priority. Does that make sense? I don't mind renting. I don't mind leasing. There's a bunch of places where you can lease with a bunch of amenities, right? As if you were owning a home, and then let somebody else handle the whole maintenance of the house. That's my view, right? Especially because of my back injury, I don't want to do maintenance, right? So definitely let somebody else do it. So renting or leasing, for me, absolutely. I want to allocate as much money as I can towards investments. And then who knows, maybe later on, right before it's retirement time, maybe later on I'll say, hey, let me own a home for a month or two and then go back to community living, let somebody else handle it because I'm too old for it, right? I don't know. But again, are you going to be an investor or are you going to be a homeowner? You got to choose that before you think about this, okay? What are your ultimate goals before you think about this? All right. So with the other parts, inspection, etc., how long does it take? Oh, go back to the thing. Again, it depends. Now it's the people thing. Okay. It's the people thing. People are a big variable. Are people available to do the work today, to do the work tomorrow? How do they feel? I have a current scenario with one of our agents where the appraiser refused to make changes, even though the city already adjusted whatever needed to be adjusted at city level. But the appraiser refuses to make changes. No, I'm not doing this, right? So delay, and we almost lost the deal, right? Until we put enough pressure on the mortgage company to say, hey, bring us someone else. Because if this appraiser doesn't want to do it, it's on you. If we all get sued, mortgage company, it's your fault, right? So it could vary. Everything in order, the fastest that you can close is probably like, I don't know, from beginning to end, the fastest you can close is probably a little bit less than a month if everything's in order. So that's the best way I can put it. But the average closing takes about 2 months. Could it take 3? Could it take 4? Could it take 5? We have situations, unfortunately, like that because of all these delays, title issues that the seller doesn't correct, issues at City Hall that need to be corrected again based on the seller's behalf. You know, there's no straight way to tell you how long it's going to take. There's nothing. It's like me asking you right now, Nina, how long do you think it's going to take for you to complete this course? On my end, I know it's 4 weeks, right? And even that, there was a delay of 1 week, right? Well, almost 2 weeks. But on my end, I say it's a 4-week course with the exam on the 5th week. And if you pass, you're good to go to the state and you could be done the very next week or sometimes within the same week, right? So technically, in less than 7 weeks, you could be licensed. So we're looking at a month and a half and you could be licensed. But then there's people that take a year, take 2 years, take 3 years, take 10 years to ever get licensed. So there's a lot of variables. There's no straight way of telling you this is what it is, okay? Always remember, variables. That's why we don't count with anything until it's done. That's how I see things. I try to enjoy the process. I let the outcome be the outcome. And I do the best I can for myself, for my clients, and try to orchestrate or manage things the best way possible. And hopefully we get to where we need to our goal, whatever it is. Okay? So I don't stress anymore, oh, I put this in the contract, we're gonna close. Like I sold it. No, I don't do that. So years ago, I told my dad is a realtor as well. So years ago, my dad used to do this. Sometimes he still does it, but he used to do this where as soon as he puts it in the contract, so I sold this house, I sold that house, like he just put it in the contract. And then as soon as and by the way, when I say my dad, I used to do the same in the beginning, and almost everybody, I think, follows the same trend. Like they think, oh, I put it in the contract, sold. No. Until, here's the key, thank you for the deed, right? Or for the money, I'm sorry. Until that happens, nothing is sold. All right? So there's a lot of variables. So I learned early on, based on what I saw from my dad as a realtor, right? I learned early on that you cannot count with the egg being there. Let's put it like that. Okay, you cannot count with the egg being there, right? You got a chicken, great. Will there be an egg? I don't know. If it is, great. If it's not, we still got the chicken. Does that make sense? All right, so no way to answer this. When I say rentals, do you mean like commercial property for business leasing? What do you mean? When I say rentals, income property? No. When I said rentals, sorry. When I say rentals, it's anything. So if I sell a property to you, remember we gave the example with Elda yesterday, and I said that she was the seller, I'm the buyer, and then she was like there for a couple days, and I took over. Should I benefit from the money that she didn't collect yet, but I did later on? No. So that's a residential. It could be commercial. It could be whatever. It's the fact that we close in the middle of the month or in the first week of the month or whatever day it is. Those exact number of days is what we credit one party or take away from the other. So it's not for commercial. It's for any type of rental. So usually that is calculated on the daily basis. Okay, on the 365 method, usually. Okay. Sorry. All right. So with that being said, I think there's no other questions. At least I don't see it here. We're gonna go to the chapters. Always good to spend the first half hour answering questions. It's good because again, like I said yesterday, most of the questions, 90% of the questions are valid questions and focus on what we do here. Of course, the whole Grant Cardone thing has nothing to do with real estate licensing. But anyway, all right, everything else on point. So, overview of licensing and regulation. A lot of this stuff we already covered as well. So, I'm going to give you a heads up. From today on, it's going to be used more as a review than anything else. So, there's not going to be many new things. So this today on, which should have been the final week starting on Monday, that's where we should be somewhere right now. Between this and then going into the state portion of the book is again mainly used as reviews. There's a few things new, but most of it is going back to the first week, second week, and so on. Right? So overview of licensing and regulation. We're going to talk about state licensing law. How can you obtain the real estate license and license regulations? So state licensing law. As you guys know by now, virtually every real estate practitioner in the United States and almost all over the world is subject to requirements according to the laws of the state in which the practitioner resides and does business. So with this being said, there might be a question in the state exam, it's not highlighted. There might be a question in the state exam that asks who regulates the licenses. Is this federal? Is it state? Is it your agency? No, it's state. Okay, the laws are, the majority of them are uniform across the board, but state is the one that regulates your license, okay? So the states have enacted real estate license laws to ensure a minimal, as it says, a minimal level of competence. So worst case scenario, at least do these things. That's what they're saying. So state licensing laws also protect the public by requiring licensees to adhere to standards of ethical conduct and professionalism. A licensee who violates ethical and professional standard faces the temporary or permanent loss of the legal right to practice real estate. The general thrust of state real estate legislation is to establish personal, educational, and professional requirements for obtaining a license, as you guys already know, establishing statutory guideline of professional conduct and continuing education to maintain the license, as well as establishing a regulatory entity to administer and enforce licensing. And finally, to authorize that regulatory entity or body to create regulations and procedures that will enable it to discharge its legal responsibilities. So pretty much almost every state has something that will require a background check, minimum age to get into the business, right? They appoint some type of real estate commission or real estate department or committee, whatever you want to call it. They're all being the same. and that's the entity within the state or department within the state that will regulate your licenses. Most of them, I mean, all of them have a pre-licensing requirement. Some states have a post-licensing requirement. Some states are like 40 hours pre-licensing and then 90 hours post-licensing, let's say. Some states like New Jersey here, we do 75 hours pre-licensing and that's it. Then it's CE credits every 2 years and you become a broker if you're eligible 3 years later. So every state has their different regulations as far as education material for pre-licensing or post-licensing, and every state has different requirements for licensing, period. Okay, we'll talk about the state licensing in a couple of days, like specific to the state. So for all students of real estate who are planning to enter the field of practice, it is vitally important to understand state real estate license laws and their effect on one's envisioned career in real estate. Since real estate is large and complex industry, students must investigate local licensing requirements for specific activities. For example, it is likely that a state has a special license requirement for appraisers. And you guys already know that. State of New Jersey, for instance, we do have state certified appraisers, and we cannot even call our evaluations, we cannot call them appraisals. We can only call them comps or CMAs, right? On the other hand, a state may require no license at all for one who works in corporate real estate. So what does this mean? State of New Jersey, for instance, if you work for the owner of the building, let's say the owner of the building is New Direction Management LLC or Properties LLC, but the company owns the building. I'm an employee of the company, so I'm direct, right? I'm an extension of the owner, right? I don't need a license. But if New Direction Properties, right? New Direction Properties hires a CBRE, Newmark, let's say New Direction Property Management Company, right? It's a separate company. If it's a third party that's managing my properties, they need a license. In fact, a broker's license to operate. And their agents or assistants, let's say, they have to be licensed as well for leasing purposes. Okay? So there's different requirements depending on the state. That's pretty much, again, where we're getting at. Where state license laws and regulations conflict with federal laws, the state law will prevail. Okay, and this is only for this type of laws, I guess. Got something in my eye that's bothering me. So, obtaining the real estate licenses. Services requiring licensure. Simple. As I was just saying, and again, this is a brief overview. We've talked about this before. If you expect to do a service on behalf of somebody else, if you expect compensation for helping that somebody else, usually you must be licensed, okay? So if you're helping your parents sell their home, if you're helping your church sell their building, if you're helping your employer, right, sell the business or rent the business or whatever it might be, right? If there's some type of monetary compensation or exchange of value, you need to have a license. Consideration includes money compensation, exchange of free services, or any other valuable good or service that a person expects to be paid. Now, this one is probably like the only confusing one. If it's an exchange of free services, then there's no money involved, right? Isn't that what it is? Like, I'll help you sell your house, help you sell your house for free, but then you got to help me at the office for free. Is there any money involved here? Let me know. Is there any consideration involved here? Let me know in the chat, guys. There's no money involved. So is there any consideration? That's my question then. There's no money involved, but is there consideration? There is consideration, right? No money involved, but you're exchanging time. Elda says no, there's an exchange. Well, you ever heard the term time is money? All right. So if I do something for you and you do something for me, what I do has some value, what you do has some value. So yes, it is considered consideration. And therefore, even though it was a service done for free, that was the valuable exchange, and therefore considered consideration, and therefore you must be licensed to help somebody sell their real estate. All right? Now, if I do it for free, with no expectation, with no obligations, like, hey, Dad, yeah, I'll help you sell your house, don't worry about it. Right? No expectations whatsoever. There's no exchange. But if I go like, hey, Dad, if I help you sell your house, would you do this for me? Right? Again, exchange of value. Okay? Are you guys understanding this? Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Great. Perfect. Okay. Next. The following services generally fall into license required category, like brokering of a sale, lease, exchange, transactions, managing property, including rental activities, appraising, counseling, syndicating, and auctioning. Within these services, states may have more specific requirements or exemptions, depending on the nature of the activity. For example, some states include business brokerage in the brokerage category, while other states do not. So, in some states, for you to do business brokerage, you don't need a license. It's just a business, right? State of New Jersey, for instance, because we might be transferring a lease or a deed with the business. So if there's real estate involved with the business, then we need to have a real estate license, right? So the one handling it must be a broker, and of course we're agents for the broker. Everything goes through the broker. Let's say I'm selling New Direction School, there's a pending lease, and you get to keep the spot where we're at. You need to be part of a brokerage in order to do that business or handle that business transaction. Not real estate, but it involves real estate. You guys got it? Okay. The point is to find out what kind of license, if any, your state requires for real estate activity that you will be pursuing. Now, there's exemptions. We're talking about this in national portion, and then there's exemptions in the state portion. Very similar. You guys are going to realize that. Employees of a property owner who are not paid on a per transaction basis, such as on-site rental agent in an apartment complex, like I said. Employees of a transient lodging facilities, such as motels and hotels. Again, you're renting the rooms or you're renting units for other people, but you're an extension, you're an employee, right? Salaried employee. Managers of residential condominiums or co-ops. Again, you're an extension of the owner. It's not a third-party company or a third-party individual performing a service for, right? Contracted for their employees. Dealers in cemetery lots. Don't ask me. Attorneys performing regular legal duties for a principal or persons acting in a court-appointed capacity. So here we go. Court-appointed capacity. If the judge said so, the judge went like, hey, Felix, this is what just happened. This person died, and the children or the heirs need to sell the property in order to split the assets. I'm going to appoint you, right? I'm going to appoint you, Felix, as the administrator of the estate, right? So you are responsible for helping sell this item or this property, and whatever monies you are responsible for distributing to each person, okay? So Felix, because I'm the judge and I appointed you, It's a one-time dealing. It's not a regular practice. The same way if you're an attorney, as it says right here, attorneys, if you're performing your regular legal duties, right? Let's say it's a divorce and they appointed you to, as an attorney, they appointed you, Amy, let's say you're the attorney. They appointed you, hey, Amy, could you help us out? You're our attorney, you represent us, could you help us out? Again, if it's your regular duties for a principal, if it's a one-time thing, right? No problem. But the moment you guys engage in daily real estate activities, then you are required to have a license. That's what we're saying. Okay? Now, state licensing agencies issue two principal types of licenses. So we have the broker's license, salesperson license. Okay? Let me address this again. I know I've spoken about this several times. But when you see broker license, broker by itself is the broker of record. And the broker of record is the one responsible for everyone. Everybody else is a salesperson. So once you see broker, salesperson, so if you see somebody with this license, broker, salesperson, they are pretty much a salesperson that happened to pass the broker's course. That's it. Does that make sense? So they're not the broker of record. Okay? Ronald, I need to charge more for that. So it's not, so we have here, broker of record is the one responsible for everyone. Then there's a salesperson or salespeople underneath, which could be a broker salesperson, it could be a salesperson, or a salesperson doing referrals, right? So the two licenses are broker or salesperson. Anybody below the broker is considered a salesperson. And again, it divides into three subcategories, which is salesperson, broker salesperson, and referral. Okay? Any questions here before I move forward? We're good? Okay, cool. All right. So again, as I said right here, the types of licenses we have for salesperson, the individual, or the broker salesperson. For broker's license, we have the individual, like broker of record, but it could be under a corporation, it could be under an LLC, partnership, or you could be a non-resident broker. What does this mean? It means that in most states, for a corporation, LLC, or partnership to run the business, right, they need to have at least one broker of record. Okay, I already addressed this. Okay. Right here, a broker's license authorizes a broker to perform services anywhere within the state borders. So if there's a broker and their agents, where can they perform business? Within the state. So I'm in the state of New Jersey, so therefore I can only have, if I have a New Jersey license only, I can only perform within the borders of New Jersey. I cannot go to PA, I cannot go to New York. No, Jersey. Can I refer to somebody in New York or somebody in PA or somebody in California or somebody, whatever? Can I refer? Yes. Can I perform duties as a salesperson? No. You guys understand? Unless I have a license in that state, like a non-resident license in that state. So we can refer, but we cannot perform salesperson's duties in those states or brokering duties in those states. Okay. So I already covered all this right now. And voided license. Let's go to voided license. Licensees may not practice real estate with a voided license. The three causes for voiding a license are expiration, suspension, or revocation. In addition, it is important to note that if an employing broker license expires, is suspended, or is revoked, then the licenses of all broker salespeople are likewise voided. So, if the employing broker of record license is suspended, so let's say I'm your broker, right? And my license gets suspended, who's sponsoring you? Right? If my license gets suspended, who's sponsoring you? No one. Does that make sense? So you need to associate yourself with another brokerage right away, or your license will remain suspended. Okay? Like I said, every state has different rules. Personal requirements, usually it's the age, competence, moral character, you're gonna have to do a background check. Educational prerequisite is, like for instance here, 75 hours. Some other states, 40 and then 90 later. So these are some of the rules. Okay. For you to become a broker, you need more hours later on. We got that. And sometimes to become a broker, you need experience. Wait, Bruno, what do you mean sometimes? Right? Sometimes you need experience. Don't you need experience all the time to become a broker? The answer is no. You know why? Because in some states like state of New Jersey, if you are a veteran, you can possibly skip the experience requirement. Okay? If you are a veteran, you can skip the experience requirement, which to me makes no sense. How can I imagine me, no experience whatsoever, here teaching this book to you? Like, because I'm a veteran, I can teach a book? Because I'm a veteran, I can help you prepare a contract? It makes no sense to me. But some states do have this exemption. So most states require you have experience. In state of New Jersey, you have 3 years of experience unless you're a veteran. 3 years of experience full-time to be able to be eligible to become a broker later on. All right? So we're gonna go over this when we get to the state portion. I just wanted you to be aware of requirements in different states to become a brokerage. Agency affiliation. You guys already know you cannot operate on your own. You cannot be hey, my name is Jacqueline Nelson and I sell real estate. Nope. My name is Jacqueline Nelson and I work for company so and so, and I help you sell your real estate or buy real estate. You guys understand? You are not individuals. You are part of a flag. You're a part of a culture. Like here, New Direction is my culture. New Direction is my flag. So I represent what? New Direction. Simple. You guys, let's say you go work for a Remax. Who's your flag? Or what's your flag? Who do you represent? What's your culture? Is the Remax culture. You don't like it? Move to Weichert. You don't like it? Move to Century One. You don't like it? Move to New Direction. You don't like it? Just move. But while you're there, you need to be affiliated with some type of agency in order to be able to practice this profession. Okay? At the time of the application, like I said, you need to show background data, references, and sometimes experience in real estate. You need to pass the state license examination. So all states require you to go for a state license examination, which now in the state of New Jersey you can do online. And I think most states temporarily, because of all this pandemic, temporarily created a provision with the exam centers where you can test online as well. All right, Nina, they will proctor you, if that's your question. So you'll test online and somebody's looking at you, dead at you as you're testing. Okay. CE credits every 2 years in New Jersey, for instance. Every 2 years you have to do continuing education. Okay. Continuing education. What does that mean? Every 2 years you need to learn something new or relearn something basic, like ethics. Okay. References if required. So sometimes doing the background check, something pops up and you need to have other people vouch for you, give you references that your life has changed, that you become better, that you were not, hey, I was young, dumb, and stupid, that's why I did what I did, you know. So need people to vouch for you. You are of good moral character. Like me, I'm here And at the end, I have to give you a certification that you passed the exam and that you are of good moral character, or at least it appeared to me that you are, right? And I allow you to move forward. Because without my certification, you can't take the state exam, right? So the first step is actually me. I'm the first one to say, this person, to my opinion, should be in this business, or this person, in my opinion, should definitely not be in the business. Okay, do you guys understand? So the references, good moral character, start with the school. Once you do a background check, if anything pops up, usually when you go do the state exam, it will say, wait a minute, contact Real Estate Commission before you can get sponsored. You contact Real Estate Commission, they tell you why you're denied, or why the case is pending, whatever the situation might be, right? And then what can you do to resolve or remediate the problem? Usually, again, letters from friends, family, church, maybe, wherever you go, right? But somebody that will vouch for your good moral character, okay? Almost like applying for a job. Give me references. They never call, but give me references of 3 people that will vouch for you. And the funniest thing, like if you ever came to apply for a job with me, like when I used to have my employees, and I see that your references are family and friends, like of course they're gonna say good things about you, right? But give me references like where you worked before. Give me references from your banker. Give me references from somebody that has no interest in you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, you can call my brother. My brother can tell you that I'm a good guy. Yeah. I probably even told him we'll go out for lunch if he says good things about me. You know? So if you guys ever apply for a job, family and friends are not the best referrals to have. Like, I'm going to call them and make sure that they tell me the truth about you, right? For that, I have social media. I need, right, for the crazy stuff. So make sure you guys always have other referrals, okay? Schools, jobs that you've had, your banker, like always something that's somebody that doesn't have a direct interest in you. Simple. Okay. License regulation. License regulation. So Real Estate Commission. What is the Real Estate Commission? And guys, I already explained all this right in the beginning of this chapter. What is the Real Estate Commission? It's the regulatory body that's appointed to handle all real estate things. So the Real Estate Commission, like City of New Jersey, we'll talk about it later. City of New Jersey has 8 people appointed. So they say, hey, you 8 people handle all the inquiries, all the licensing, all the education, and also all the problems. It's not the governor, right? It's not the judiciary system department. It's the Real Estate Commission. That's it. You guys do that, okay? So they appoint somebody that has the authority to oversee, again, licensing process, administer all aspects of license laws, receive and deliberate on consumer complaints, and handle problems between licensees. Oh yeah, problems between licensees. So I'm going to complain about you, Katrina, and you can complain about me. You know, yes, Real Estate Commission is the one that's going to, mediate and say, okay, kids, sit down in your corners. Let's hear about it, right? That's what they'll do. It's a type of arbitration. Okay. The structure I just talked about. They're going to have some people. It could be appointed by the government, like the Department of the Government. It could be the general public. It could be somebody that's already licensed. It could be anything. The Real Estate Commission is determines who is recruited to be part of it or not. The authority, like I said, they have the authority to regulate. They have the judicial authority, so to impose fines and the laws, right? And administrative, so to manage the whole thing. Okay. Focus. Okay. Regulatory standards of practice and conduct. A second mission of Real Estate Commission is to enact enforceable guidelines, define the ethical and professional behavior of licensees. Again, I think we covered this several times, right? We've talked about all this. So these guidelines include specific sanctions against, and again, common sense, fraud, which includes misrepresentation, concealment, and collusion, violations of your fiduciary duty. Guys, tell me, what is a fiduciary duty? You should know by now. That was week 1, right? And then we talked about it again in chapter 11, National Agency, on week 2. So what is fiduciary duty? Who can tell me? Fiduciary duty. Waiting. Fiduciary duty. If anybody's watching on YouTube and you want to jump in as well, let me know in the chat. Your obligations. Great, Amy. Obligations to whom? Felix, your utmost service to your clients. Absolutely. So your obligations and putting the client first. Yep. Perfect. Anybody else? Your duty as a sales agent to put your client's interest before your own. So yep, goes along with Amy's and Felix's opinions here. Very good. All right. So every time you see the word fiduciary, yes, obligations that we have to our client, not to the customer, to the client. And since we're at it, what's the difference between the client and the customer? Because there's going to be a lot of questions in the state exam about, oh, if you represent this party, or if this is your client, what must you say to the other party, right? The customer. So what's the difference between client and customer? You can do it. Come on. What's the difference between client and customer? Nidia, where's the sign? You still don't have the whiteboard? I'm going to ship you a whiteboard. A client is who you represent, and a customer is a third party. Nina, client is the employer, customer is someone seeking something. So wait, your employer is not seeking something? Okay, but I understand what you're saying. Let's go back to Felix, the third party. It's just someone, not someone that hired you. Correct. So, client is the person that hired you. Customer is the person that did not hire you. So they're a third party and you have no relationship with them. But with a client, guys, with a client, you have certain obligations and you have to give your utmost service to them. So keep them first and then you, right? With a customer, you still have certain obligations, but mainly is to treat them fairly and honestly. So you have to remember these things, okay? Fairly and honestly. So you still have to tell them, hey, these are the issues with the property, okay? You still have to tell them, look, anything you tell me, I will pass along to my clients. So careful in what you're about to disclose. So still have to treat them fairly and honestly. Very good. Other things that would be violations is, for instance, failure to make the required disclosures, as I said, negligence, practicing law when you are not an attorney, mismanaging funds on behalf of the client, improper commission arrangements with the client. So, hey, pay me under the table. Don't worry about it, right? No, definitely not. And also accepting illegal kickbacks and referral fees or using false or misleading advertisements. Non-compliance with office identity requirements. Remember I said Jacqueline doesn't represent herself, she represents the agency. So she has to say, hey, my name is Jacqueline and I represent New Direction Realty as an example, right? You can never say your name, period. No, this is who I am. That's why our business cards come with the full, the business cards come with the full info, full logo and everything, okay? Yes, I'm a cop, so I'll just collect this or investigate it. It's really cool. right? I used to have a wallet that was even better than this one, but really cool. You get there, yeah, this is me. You want to sell your house, right? It's really cool to do that. Because we're considered special agents. Remember that? I'm Special Agent Bruno. That's it. I step into the game. I go like, hey, Special Agent Bruno. That's it. I always wanted to change my business cards to say that. Put like a shield or whatever, like the logo be like a shield. Wouldn't that be cool? Pedro, if you're listening, we're changing our whole marketing. We're changing the whole business to look more like a shield, like we are special agents, like FBI agents or CIA agents. That's it, right? Maybe it'll get us out of tickets. We never know. Right? All right, handling complaints against licensees. The Real Estate Commission must enforce license laws and regulations, and enforcement commonly takes the form of acting. Says I have to repeat. No, I'm not repeating. Watch the replay. Enforcement commonly takes the form of acting on complaints received from consumers and other licensees. And the Real Estate Commission typically establishes a formal procedure to handle complaints and disputes in an orderly fashion. When a complaint comes into the commission, the complainant generally must file a formal complaint detailing all the relevant circumstances of the dispute. So I can never get there and say, hey, Olga did this. No. What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? Who are the parties? It has to be a detailed complaint against the party. The delegated officials would then investigate the complaint, and if they find that it has some type of substance, then they'll start conducting hearings and further investigation. And of course, they can issue orders, disciplinary orders, stuff like that, or even revoke your license. Okay. It might even get to the point. So first, what they try to do is arbitrate or mediate, right? And then, if not possible, can you go all the way to court? Sure. All right. Now, some states have some states have a bond. A bond is like an insurance. It's like a guarantee. It's very similar. So some states, they issue a bond that says, hey, if this licensee that represents the state of New Jersey does this or does that, the state has a fund or a bond or a guarantee that they will cover some or all of the damages. Okay? So what does this mean? It means that if the licensee doesn't have enough money to compensate the public, then the government must have some money set aside to assist the public. Okay? Because you have a New Jersey salesperson license, you ultimately represent who? Jersey. Does that make sense? So this is just an example. What we have, for instance, in New Jersey is a recovery fund. We call it the guarantee fund. And we'll get there as well when we get to the state portion. All right. Now, in the state portion, I will repeat this. If the fund pays out, then the licensee must repay all the amounts, and during this time, your license is suspended. So until you pay back, and in New Jersey, for instance, is until you pay back with interest, your license is suspended or even revoked. Okay? So remember, if there's a complaint against you, right, this will be a question, guaranteed. If there's a complaint against you and the state has to pay out because of what you did, your license automatically gets suspended or revoked until you repay all the amounts. Okay? You guys good so far? Great. Do me a favor, if the camera's not on you, adjust the camera so I can see you. Very, very important, because when my assistant helps me by checking all the videos, and if you're not there in the camera, it is assumed that you are not paying attention or present, that you're doing something else. So please adjust the cameras, those of you that don't have the camera pointing at you. Thank you. Next is break. First break, we have like 10 chapters to go, so this is the first break of the day, okay? Guys, it's 11:17. We will be back by 11:30, so you got 13 minutes. Run. If you have go to the bathroom, go get coffee, go get water, go do jumping jacks, get the adrenaline pumping. Come back, because the next chapter is also very important, okay? If you're on YouTube, I will be back, close this session, and we'll reopen one in about 10 minutes.